Good afternoon. My name is Brian O'Hara, B-R-I-A-N, O''Hara. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. This weekend, we had an especially troubling shooting incident that occurred in South Minneapolis. An elder from our community was shot and critically injured in what we now know was clearly a random act. She was sitting inside of her living room at night near a window. She was then struck by a bullet. Thankfully, she survived, but clearly she will continue to suffer serious physical issues from this incident. Now, all acts of violence in our community are troubling, but especially random acts when someone is sitting in the comfort of their home, and particularly when they affect the elderly or the youth in our community, are that much more egregious and offensive to everyone. We now know tonight that the bullet that injured her was fired a full city block away from her home. At the time the officers responded to her injury, this was an especially challenging case. There were no witnesses, there was no evidence, no ballistics recovered from the scene, and the victim had no idea where the shot that injured her came from. But thanks to the very dedicated and tenacious police work, the officers that responded that night, the investigators, and the help that we received from the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, 2 suspects were arrested yesterday at 1 p.m., taken into custody, and they have now been charged with this terrible crime. Shortly after midnight on the morning of August 17th, Minneapolis police officers responded to a residence in the 1700 block of 31st Street East in Minneapolis on the report of a 79-year-old woman shot in the stomach. There were related calls in the area for people who had heard a gunshot and some who believed that 2 vehicles were driving erratically. Upon arrival, the officers at the scene located a 79-year-old woman critically injured with a gunshot wound to her lower abdomen. She stated she had just been sitting in her living room by the window when she heard a loud bang. The window broke, and she realized she had been shot. She was transported to the hospital by EMS in critical condition and was taken into surgery. Later, a bullet would be removed from her abdomen. The officers at the scene that night did not have much to go on, but they checked the area and they noticed a full city block away there was a yield sign that had been damaged. And they found a piece of what appeared to be a fog light from a vehicle on the ground. They photographed the damage and retrieved that fog light. The investigator assigned from the Minneapolis Police Homicide Unit was ultimately able to obtain video of the shooting full block away. Through the use of that video and others, the use of license plate readers, was able to identify the shooter's vehicle. And thanks to the assistance of the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, Minneapolis police officers working yesterday with members of the Sheriff's Office and BCA agents were able to locate the suspects and arrest them at 1 p.m. at 901 Snelling Avenue in St. Paul. Now, this was clearly a very senseless act of violence. A .45 caliber firearm was recovered during the arrest of the 2 suspects yesterday. And we now know that that weapon is a ballistics match to the bullet that was recovered from the victim during surgery. So again, while this was completely senseless, and it's terrible that an elderly woman in the community was so critically injured, we are thankful that there is some sense of justice in this case, that we were able to identify a suspects and take them into custody. We're thankful to all the members of the community who provided different tips about what they heard and what they saw. Members that provided video to us, and certainly to the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office for their assistance that was very, very critical in ultimately identifying and locating these suspects. So that being said, I'll take questions if you have any.
How many arrests were there, suspects?
2 arrests, 1 male and 1 woman.
Both adults?
Both adults, yes.
Have they been charged yet? Or
they have been charged, yes.
Okay. What have they been charged with?
We could provide you a copy of the complaints. The Through the statements that they gave, the woman states that she fired the gun because they thought that they were being chased by someone, and that she had no intention of shooting someone in their house a full city block away. And the male, I believe, admitted to causing the accident with the yield sign.
Okay. Do the suspects have any prior convictions?
They do have some prior criminal history, and we can get that for you.
And this was during a weekend. It sounded like this was the last of maybe a few different shootings that were unrelated. And
So overnight, we had 4 shooting incidents that were unrelated, it appears. The other 3 remain open and active investigations. But it was a total of 5 shooting incidents for the week, which is the average total number of shooting incidents that we've seen this year.
have you been in touch with the partner and the woman, how they've been doing?
Yeah, so our investigators have, and obviously, I would say her husband, they've been together quite some time, is certainly relieved, because I think they clearly understood the position that we were in, with kind of a lack of information to go on initially from this. It was both the initial officers that responding, documenting the accident a block away, not having any idea that it might be related. Ultimately, then the investigator finding some video, an actual video that then showed the shooting outside the window of that car. And then through license plate readers being able to identify potential vehicles, and then through assistance with the sheriff's office locating that specific vehicle.
What did you say the man's role was?
Who's driving the vehicle? Yep.
And he hit the yield sign?
Yes. Yep. To put it into context, as of today, there's been 168 victims of shootings in Minneapolis, which is 80 fewer victims at this point than what we had last year. So it's positive. It's actually 18 fewer victims than where we were at this point in 2019 prior to the pandemic. So it was challenging, obviously, this weekend. We're thankful for these arrests, but I think overall it's still moving in a positive direction for the residents.
And so they just thought that the woman claimed someone might have been chasing them and fired a shot.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
To see a quick, I think, resolution to find who did this, and obviously having a collaboration between the sheriff's department and you all, and kind of having this just a matter of days to kind of figure out who did this. How does that feel?
I'm extremely relieved because anytime there's a shooting where you have basically nothing to go on, some residents calling saying they heard some shots, no one having any idea, a victim clearly injured through a random act, has no idea who might have done this to her, it's not the most hopeful. And to have it turn around so quickly in a case like this where there's an elderly woman injured, we're very relieved. But at the same time, she was seriously injured. So I'm sure she will continue to have complications from physically, let alone emotionally, from this for some time.
And did you say she was out of the hospital, or she's still in the hospital?
I believe she's out of the hospital now, yeah.
But not life-threatening?
It is not life-threatening. She is, I believe she's been discharged from the hospital, but she will continue to suffer physical issues from this injury, yeah.
How is has it felt positive also, just the overall year trends for a lot of violent crimes being down? Is that, as we're approaching the end of summer?
Yeah, I mean, we're thankful. Particularly shootings have been trending down. Robberies have been trending down. The main, carjackings continue to trend down. Obviously, we've had an issue recently with juveniles committing vandalism and smash and grab. But in the grand scheme, to have fewer people shot, fewer people victims of violence is very positive for the city. In North Minneapolis in particular, the 4th Precinct, I think, is at the lowest number of shooting victims in over 10 years at this point. Yeah. So.
Do you attribute not only this one, but some of the other downturns in the technology that's available today
may not have been available 5, 10 years ago?
I think the technology that's available today is able to help us try and identify suspects better, not necessarily enabling us to stop things from happening in the first place. But if we're able to identify people quicker, then yes, and perhaps stop the next shooting from happening. That's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That was a